What's up, squad? Maybe you've been in this situation along with myself, or trying to figure out like the best way to program our iso chain along with our weightlifting routine, because we know the value of isometric training. We know the value of progressive isometric training along with our progressive weightlifting. We're trying to figure out how to be a hybrid weightlifter. My recommendation, if you weightlift, you should be, and use the iso chain as a supplement. Here's why. Let's get into it. Alright, so one thing we definitely know is that isometric training is the fastest way to develop strength. For me, right, I'm a very simple guy. The simple math for me is, okay, if I'm stronger, I can lift more weight. If I can lift more weight, I get more lean muscle mass. If I get more lean muscle mass, I lose more body fat. If I lose more body fat, I am more shredded, right? Now, of course, you can pick apart each of those broad statements and go down into little details, because are there exceptions to every rule? Obviously, right? But as a general statement, yes, the heavier you lift, the more muscle you put on. And the more muscle you put on, the less body fat you will have. And since we know that isometric training is the fastest way to develop absolute strength, if you haven't seen the video on absolute strength, by the way, here's a link right here. You should check that out. It's very important to know what absolute strength is, not only for the channel and the iso chain training, but just in general. It's a very important term here when we're talking about isometric and static training. Very important. But following up on what I just said, remember that video I talked about with the superhuman up to 5% strength increases daily? Alright, so that is very much a thing. We weren't just making that up. Paul Wade didn't just wake up one morning coming up with that random number. He did lots of research. Studies have backed that number up, and I've seen it with my own eyes, you know, not only for my own training, but also my clients as well. That's 5% strength gains per week. Let's even talk about that 5% increase daily. Alright, that's it right there. That's money. That's when you know you're doing everything right. We can literally double our strength in just 20 weeks. That's 5 months. What does doubling your strength mean to you, right? Especially as a weightlifter, right? The weights are everything. You know, if you're an Instagrammer, you're a TikToker, you know, you do it for the clout, you do it for yourself. For me, I do it for myself, right? Whatever your goals are, having more strength will always help you out. I feel like these are very simplified statements, but sometimes we need to hear it broken down into the ridiculous. The stronger you are, the more weight you can lift. And by the way, for a small group of us, alright, it might not even be the squad, this might just be new people just coming to the channel and they just happen to see this video. Isometric strength does translate into dynamic strength gains. There's no way it doesn't. If your body is stronger, then it can lift more weight. So if we gotten stronger statically, we have gotten stronger dynamically. Just think of farmer strength, right? They don't even lift any weights. They're just doing manual labor all day. But you throw them into the gym, you don't know. They probably won't be the strongest person in the gym, but they definitely are above average. You know, when I take on a new client, I have them go through a fitness assessment for the first session, where I kind of see where they're at. And usually, I've seen so many baseline numbers already that I know if somebody has a physical background or they don't. So usually, I'm like, you know, I'm looking at their numbers like, hey, Sarah, you know, do you do a sport? You practice a sport outside of work? Oh yeah, in fact, I play basketball with my friends twice a week. And I'm like, yeah, I can see that. I can see a couple numbers are a lot different than normal. Really? Yes, really. I'm used to seeing it. Or, hey, you know, do you, Jim, do you work do you do any warehouse work? You know, any manual labor? Do you lift things all day or something to that effect? Yeah, as a matter of fact, I do. I'm like, I can tell. I can tell they have a higher than average muscle percentage to body mass index. So I'm totally used to seeing that. And it's the same thing with them. Their numbers are just higher. Those numbers reflect that. Might have went off on a little bit of a tangent. It's just an example. May have been a bad one, but it's an example nonetheless. And y'all know what I'm talking about. If I'm pulling 300 pounds on the deadlift on iso chain with good form, not crappy cat back form, alright? What's my deadlift gonna be in the gym? It's not gonna be 300. No, we already know that based off of watching that absolute strength video, right? I was talking about before. That 1 rep max and absolute strength are a little different. Same concept, but a little different because of the force velocity curve. You should check that video out if you haven't seen it. movement, all right? The absolute strength number is always going to be higher because your force production is highest when there's no movement, right? But 1 rep max is the maximum amount of weight that you can lift one time, like I talked about in that video. So if you're pulling a 300 on a deadlift, chances are your 1 rep max is around 250, 260, right? In the gym, okay? Because there is an equivalent, all right? You can't just be strong on the iso chain and then you're absolute trash in the gym. That makes no sense at all. That just defies science. And to be honest, like for us weightlifters like myself out here, honestly, yo, if you're not using isometrics, you crazy. You are crazy not to implement such a powerful tool. Why would we pass up on free? It's free gains. It's free gains for 10 minutes a day. Man, if you real out here, you're gonna take that 10 minutes. If you're willing to put in 1.5 hours to 2 hours per session, or some might argue that you only need 45 minutes to rest. Hey, whichever side of the fence you're on, if you're serious about your gains, then you could, regardless of how much time you spend it in there, you will put in that extra 10 minutes for iso chain training. When you realize that just a small amount of extra training a day is going to lead to that doubling your strength in 5 months. Yeah, it's totally real. In fact, elite powerlifters and weightlifters already do that. The ones that are familiar and they know about the benefits of that. One of the guys that I did not know about prior to reading the manual, and I talk about that book a lot, is Bill Starr. I've never heard of him in my entire life. I learned a lot, reading that book, and he's a legendary coach, and he used isometric training, and I mean, as the book said, it sure didn't hurt his gains at all. I mean, put in just a small amount of time to get that much more out of your weightlifting. People are gonna be wondering if you're taking something. That is how powerful training correctly on isometrics is, particularly overcoming isometrics. Now, yielding and overcoming are totally different static trains. Surprisingly, I haven't broken that down into a video yet, so that's to come, so stay tuned for that. That'll more than likely be in the isometric exercise science playlist, which you can find right here. But that'll be a good video. Personally, I'm more of a fan of overcoming because yielding isometric training, unless you're performing a little different than normal, takes longer than the average overcoming isometric session. So the $1 million question, all right, well then how do I incorporate iso chain training into my weightlifting program? Funny you should ask. I found a way that actually ended up working that's different than the book, so I'm gonna cover both. I believe that there's more than just these two as well as we continue to, delve into like that right balance. I found that these two work incredibly well. So take them for what you will. It's definitely not like the be all end all. Maybe someone else has found a good balance, because the key is to find the balance that doesn't trigger CNS fatigue. That's gonna be like priority number one, all right? Because too much on either side is gonna throw you into CNS, because isometric training really taxes your neurons. Your neurological system needs to recover, so it's important to program yourself out correctly, all right? Don't put too much in, because with iso chain training, less is more. So the example from the book, I'm gonna cover that one first. It's talking about Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturdays, I think is what they talk about, right? So they're talking about, all right, let's get your iso chain sessions Wednesday and Sunday. So you have only two iso chain sessions that week, and the other 4 days a week were weightlifting sessions. Now, I immediately perked up because I usually train 4 days a week. All right. Recently, I've upped it to 5. I'm adding a second leg day because one leg day a week was just simply not enough for me and for my goals. And that is a whole different story in and of itself. But I can totally see that. That's 2 quality iso chain sessions a week. So 4 and 2, that's 6 days a week. You get 1 day for rest. Rest is important, guys. You gotta rest. If your body is constantly under load, like, it's just like, dude, like your gains are gonna be trash, like your body never has a chance to recover. Your body needs to recover, all right? Now, there's a small exception to that rule, and that is the 1x6s. I was doing that for 30 days straight in the original Sweet 16 routine, which you can find right here, and it worked fine. I had no CNS, none. no CNS at all. My weightlifting was just fine. My iso chain was just fine, and everything went up. What was it, like 60%, 80 something if you count the personal best of that month. However, 6x6 is entirely different. All right, and you need some rest time for that. You do. Let's say if we switch it up, it's not on mine yet. This is still using the manual's setup. Say you work out 3 days a week. Let's just say it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Then the book is recommending maybe Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday with Sunday off for rest. Alright, so now you get 3 quality iso chain sessions a week. Seems legit. Alright, you have enough time, your body is recovering. You're gonna run into a little bit of DOMS, but that's to be expected with the dynamic training, not the iso chain training. Remember, we got the Fen effect. So it's a nice little blend of stacking a win on top of a win. Now what I'd recommend, the book doesn't talk about this, is just me being a trainer. I'd recommend, like, say you got back and buys on Monday. Alright, what should your next iso chain session be? I probably wouldn't do back and bicep because they're still recovering, so the muscle fibers are reattaching themselves to be stronger. They are damaged. So why are you going to damage them more? I'd probably hit up legs, to be honest with you. So hit legs up Tuesday, alright? So now it's time to hit legs Wednesday. Why legs? You just did legs before, the Fen effect. Trust me, you're gonna be just fine. I've done it already. I've done it for a month. No problems whatsoever. If that was dynamic, I would never do that. Why would I do that? Why would I do legs on Tuesday and then follow up and do legs on Wednesday? For what? Not wasting my time. They're not done yet. They're not done recovering. But with this, you can. The turnaround time is quick, yo. It's quick, so why not take advantage of it? So now you can do legs that way. Or you could do it you could do iso chain for your push. You could do that as well, right? So you can do iso chain for chest and shoulder, tricep, or that type of combination push. Your next workout for dynamic would be pull, right? So now everything got a chance to recover. So what can we do after that? We can do push on iso chain. Why not? Everything's fresh. Let's go. Take advantage of that. Do you see what I'm saying? So normally this is a program that is not impossible, but I guess the word would be impractical if it were dynamic only. But now we can literally have our cake and eat it too, because the iso chain sessions don't have any DOMs in it. It's straight up Fen effect recovery. Let's freaking go. Alright? So why not take advantage of it? So on the screen, I laid out one for you. I'm still not even into mine yet. This is something I would do based off of a 3-day-a-week workout program. Alright, so it's right here. So you can see the split. I think it's a nice split. You know, maybe have an issue where it's like, hey, you know, Chris, hold on, maybe not do that. And so type in the comment sections below. You might have a better one. Alright, and that's cool. That's cool. But I would be totally confident giving somebody this program. Totally. I do it for a living. I would totally give somebody this program and feel 100% confident they could get results off of it, and then have the rest on Sunday. Now, let's switch over to mine. So this is what I was doing. I was doing the Sweet 16. It's literally a 1x6 of 16 exercises. Now, looking back, I probably take about 3 or 4 off of those. But on the screen, those are the Sweet 16 exercises. You can do those every day. It's a 6-second exercise, so you only do each one time. So the amount of exercise time that we're under load for is not much, right? So we can commit to that every day. It's not cutting into anything. It's a total body workout. This is what Bruce Lee did. He did it every day. He did that every day. Now the Dragon, if you haven't seen the video on the Dragon, which is Bruce Lee's OG iso chain workout, you need to check that out here. I mean, dude was so ahead of his time because he was also weightlifting. He was weightlifting, he was training his martial arts, and he had to find that balance. So he had 3, okay? In addition to his cardio, as a matter of fact, so he had 4. He had his strength training, he had his iso chain training, he had his martial arts training, and he had his cardio. Flexibility, you can add that in as I already mentioned, for amount of different types of exercise. Yes, stretching is an exercise, obviously. But I'm just gonna use those 4, okay? He had to find a way to balance all that stuff. This is what, 1960 something, right? Almost 70 years ago. Dude was ahead of his time. So if that worked for him, and you see how chiseled he is, then it can work for us. I'm gonna follow the Dragon, personally. And it didn't mess with my gains. I did it for an entire 30 days. I lifted 5 days a week. So I had 20 weightlifting sessions that month. Alright, 20. And I had 30 iso iso chain sessions of a full body Sweet 16. You know what's funny is about halfway into the Sweet 16, I started to realize that I didn't need a full hour and a half of work. So right near the end of the Sweet 16, I don't know why I didn't put that in the video. That was so stupid that I didn't put it in there. I actually cut my workouts in half. And they were still going up. My weightlifting numbers were still going up, guys, with the Sweet 16 routine. So I went from 90-minute sessions to 45-minute weightlifting sessions with no detriment. Normally you cut your workout in half, something's gotta give, right? Well, no, actually it just kept going up. What does that say? Alright, if that's not the power of the iso chain right there, I don't know what is. The book mentions that if you program your iso chain training right, it won't cut into your recovery reserves dramatically. It might cut in a little bit, but if you program it right, you can literally do, it's like I was saying in the one hybrid weightlifting video, it's like looking left and right at the same time. Part of the reason I wanted to wait to give a full year review on the iso chain instead of like just 7 days, because I ain't gonna do nothing. You need lots of time training with the iso chain in order to give a proper review, in my opinion. Like this is not something that you just try for 48 hours and it's like, oh, I tried this. No, not this. You don't do that with this. You freaking go into the freaking trenches to really figure out the right balance, because done right, you will have such a staggering advantage over someone that doesn't, especially if you're a weightlifter. All right, guys, hopefully this video was of some value. If you found value in this video, be sure to drop a like or a comment. If you're not yet part of No Limit Squad, what you waiting on? Hit that subscribe button. Come join the squad with us. We'll see you next video. Peace.
Combat fatality in your face, blood.